what you're going to see from Coach Arjun Iyer will not be on the slides. It's purely his inspiring work that he would put it across to you, which will be very helpful. Because I believe whenever I have spoken to him, whenever I have met him, there was a change in my life. So I request everyone to please give attention for your next 20 to 30 minutes, and then you have a chance to ask him anything, because today's session is all about ask me anything to thrive in 2021. Over to you, Coach Arjun.
Thank you so much. Wonderful. Really, really great. And I'd like you guys to type one word in the chat box, any word that comes to mind. What is the one word that you're thinking of right now? If I asked you to think of any one word, what's the word? And the word could be yoo-hoo or woohoo as well. Absolutely good. Thank you for sharing. Excited, learn, job, abundance. Fantastic. Boom. So today's session is about psychology, and my work over the last 22 years has been about the psychology of success. And all success is psychology and strategy. And while strategy is what we need to do and how we do it, psychology is about why we do it and why we don't do it. So very often we know what to do, but we don't do what we know. Let me give you an example. Let's say in the area of fitness. I live in a major metropolitan city, and I believe a lot of you on this in this meeting also do. Within 10-kilometer radius from where you are, how many gyms or fitness centers do you think there are? Type in a number. Within a 10-kilometer radius of where you live, how many gyms or fitness centers do you think there are? Okay, there you go. Somebody said 100. Wow, 3, 13 to 17, many. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So within a 10-kilometer radius, yeah, if you're in a small town, you probably have like 5 or less. If you're in a big city where I stay here in Dubai, a 10-kilometer radius, there's scores of gyms and fitness centers. So the strategy for physical fitness is available, abundantly available. Within that 10-kilometer radius, how many unhealthy, unfit people do you think there are in percentage terms? What percentage of people in a 10-kilometer radius are not fit? There you go. Pretty high, isn't that right? Fair to say that probably more than 50% of the people who live within a 10-kilometer radius are unfit. Interestingly, the strategy for success is available, easily available, but a lot of people just don't go forward because the psychology of success, which is the mindset of success, is something that people don't apply. So I have a little bit of time with you here today. I would speak for a short while, after which I'm just going to open up to questions where we'll kind of talk more to you with regard to your personal situations. And I'd like to share a few ideas with you. And in order to share those ideas, I'm going to share my screen. And when I share my screen, I'm going to ask you some questions. The first question I'm going to ask you when I do screen share, I haven't yet done it. I'm going to be doing it in about 20 seconds. My first question to you is, who are they? Okay, who are they? So get ready. That's the question. Let me repeat the question again before I show the screen. Who are they? And get ready to type the answer to the question. You will see this for 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. End of screen share. Fantastic. Who are they? Fantastic. Excellent. What title does this group have? What is the title of this group? The Justice League. That's what they're called. Isn't that right? Now, who are they individually? Who are they individually? I'd like you to remember, I'm not going to show you the screen again. Who are they? Okay. Wonder Woman. Who else? Batman, Superman. Not Splash, Menzel, Flash. And Tulika, it's Cyborg. Very good. Excellent. Okay. Next question. What makes these people special? Captain America is not part of the Justice League. What makes these people special? Okay, unique in talents, they don't fear. Good. Thank you. Yeah, superpowers is the answer. Yeah, what makes this group special is superpowers. Another word for powers or superpowers is abilities. Abilities. All right. Each of these people has special abilities. And what do these people do? What do they do? What does the Justice League do? What is their job? What are their KPIs? What is their function, their role? They help people, they save humanity. Anything else? Good. You're right, absolutely right. What else? Yeah, yeah, they save only America. Okay, what else do they do? They fight with the bad guys, right? Isn't that a big part of what they do? So just like you have superheroes, you have super villains, and these superheroes fight with these super villains and they save humanity. That's their job, that's their role, that's their KPI, that's their function. Now, when it comes to where we are today in 2021, a new milieu, a brand new world, a transformed environment, new energies, new technologies, the post COVID era. Here are you and me in this environment, some amount of uncertainty, in many cases, lots of uncertainty. You and me, both you and me, all of us, we know people who have lost jobs, who've lost their livelihood, who've really had a lot of challenges through this period of time. And when we talk about the abilities, the superpowers, the skills that are required to thrive in 2021, let's talk about three superpowers or three abilities. And I'm going to lay these three superpowers out, these three abilities out. It's not something that you are not aware of. Most likely you've heard these ideas before, but perhaps you haven't heard it in this particular fashion. And then after that, we'll talk and open it up to questions and chat with you about your personal situations, because I'd rather this session be more about that and less about me ranting, me engaging in this monologue, in this soliloquy. Okay, superpowers and abilities. Superpower number one or ability number one. So we'll just use the word ability. Let's just stay with the word ability. Okay, so the first ability that is an essential prerequisite to thrive in 2021 is stickability. Stickability. All right, so we're going to use ability as the suffix and we'll keep changing the prefix, and that's how we're going to work. So the first word or combination of words is stickability. And the word stickability essentially means persistence. Persistence. And persistence is I will until. I will until. I will sustain. I will continue until I get the job done. And the story that comes to mind is the story of a gentleman by the name of Edmund Hillary. If you know who Edmund Hillary is, type yes in the chat box. If you know who Edmund Hillary is, type yes in the chat box. Very good. Lots of yeses. Fantastic. Excellent. All right. Now, who is Edmund Hillary and what is his claim to fame? What is Edmund Hillary's claim to fame? Type it in. Type it in if you know. What did he do that made him famous? Okay, good. Edmund Hillary was the first man to climb Mount Everest, and he was accompanied by Tenzing Norgay, Sherpa Tenzing Norgay, who was his assistant or guide when he did it. At the time, scores, perhaps hundreds of people had tried to climb Mount Everest, and many had failed and many more had died. Even today, people try to climb Mount Everest, and every year a significant number of people Wow, see, we got a date out there. Major Narayanan says 29th of May 1953. Thank you, Major. Fantastic. Many people die trying to climb Mount Everest. So, Edmund Hillary was the first man to climb Mount Everest. When he came down from the peak, the media surrounded him and asked him a whole host of questions. And they wanted to know, wow, what was this great thing that you did? Who are you? Now, the kind of questions that the media asked Edmund Hillary was this. Here's a question they asked him. They said, what was your vision? What was your mission? What thoughts were you thinking before, during, and after the climb? And he kept quiet and he heard all these questions and he put his hands up and he said, listen, guys, I have no idea what you guys are talking about. But when you're 25,000 feet up there, struggling to breathe, freezing cold, 5,000 feet more to go before you arrive at the crescendo of Mount Everest, the last thing that you think about is a goal, vision, or a dream. Edmund Hillary said, the only thing I thought about when I was headed towards the peak of Mount Everest, the only thing I was thinking about was, how do I put my right foot in front of my left foot? And then he said, how do I put my left foot in front of my right foot? And then he said, how do I put my right foot in front of my left foot and my left foot in front of my right foot? He said, I was not thinking of goals, visions, or dreams. I was only thinking of the next step. I will until stick ability. I will stick to the journey. I will stick to the mission. And that's the first ability. The first superpower is called stickability. Another word that is used to depict or to express stickability is the word endurance. Endurance. So that's the first superpower or the first ability. Superpower or ability number two is adaptability. Adaptability. The word is adaptability. And synonyms for the word adaptability are flexibility or versatility. Bruce Lee, Bruce Lee was ever so famous when it came to propagating the philosophy of flow. And Bruce Lee is famous for saying, learn to flow like water. You hear Bruce Lee say that in many of his movies. Another thing that Bruce Lee often said was, he said, always expect the unexpected. In today's scientific parlance, the concept of versatility, adaptability, and flexibility in the area of neuroscience or brain science is called neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity. And people who develop flexibility in their thinking and in their mind get ahead in life. And I hope some of you ask me questions with regard to how we do that, because there are many wonderful and amazing ways to develop neuroplasticity. A number of you in this group are doing it already. Okay, so the second ability is called adaptability. And adaptability is not so much about learning new things as it is about unlearning old things. The word education is the origin, the etymology of the word education is from the Latin word educar, which means to draw out from within. That is the origin of the word education, which means the wisdom that is innate within us. And when we allow that wisdom which is innate within us to express itself, now that it epitomizes adaptability. Adaptability, flexibility, versatility is about unlearning old things, discarding old habits, and putting aside obsolete paradigms, an absolute necessity. And very recently, just in the last, should I say, 4 or 5 months, I'd like to share a story with you about two people who I know, both of them finance professionals, educated, master's degrees in finance, very adept, agile, and knowledgeable in the field of finance. Both people lost their jobs. Same skills, same education set. One person said that he just needs to get a job, and he went out and started applying. and insisted that he get a particular type of job. He had two or three different positions that he was looking for, and he kept looking for that. The second person decided that while he's looking for a job, because he is a finance professional, he said that he would go out and start using his knowledge in finance to trade in equity and stocks. Because he is a finance professional, he has a very good understanding of markets, as does this guy over here. But this person said, no, 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 I'm not a businessman, I'm not a stock trader, I am an employee, I need to go out and get a job. This person started making money in the first month. He used a skill that he already had and deployed it in an area that this person was unwilling to deploy it in. And 4 months later, this person is still unemployed and frustrated and angry and irritated and depressed. This person over here makes approximately 8 to 10,000 US dollars in stock trading, and in the last 3 weeks has received 2, maybe 3 job offers, and is wondering whether he should take those job offers or just go ahead and continue with his stock trading. Adaptability, flexibility, versatility. From the get-go, these two people with the same educational qualifications and the same degree of competence decided to respond differently to the situation. So the first ability is stickability, I will until. Perseverance, persistence. The second ability is adaptability, flexibility, versatility. And the third ability, is called responsibility. Responsibility. To be responsible and to have the ability to respond. Now, what is this thing? What are these things that we need to respond to? Number one, how do you respond? How do you respond to a change in schedule? So this is a microcosm of your responsibility. Somebody has set a meeting, a time and a place with you, and in the last moment, they cancel it. How do you respond to that? Okay, that is a measure of your responsibility. I do believe it is also a measure of your adaptability, but let's just stick with responsibility. Question number 2, how do you respond to offense? Somebody offends you, is rude to you, is untoward toward you, is inconsiderate toward you in their words and or behavior. How do you respond to offense? Responsibility. And the third question is, how do you respond to ambiguity? To not knowing what the next step is, to stepping out in the darkness with no idea what will unfold, or perhaps the headlights of a car in the dark that go only 300 feet ahead and you cannot see beyond those 300 feet, but when you traverse those 300 feet, you actually get ahead. That's the third ability, responsibility. I heard somebody say, your response is your responsibility. Your response is your responsibility. Now, to capture these three abilities, which is stickability, adaptability, and responsibility, I'd like to share a short story with you and then wrap up. Here is the story. This is a story about a young woman who has recently gotten married. And this young woman who has recently gotten married is sharing this story about her life and her marriage with her friend. So here we go. I'm going to read this out. Here's what the young woman says. A young woman is telling her friend about her new husband. This is a dialogue between the two of them. Okay, here we go. I just got married, the woman says. That's good, replies the friend. Yeah, but he's 40 years older than me. That's bad, says the friend. But he's a billionaire, says the lady. That's good, says the friend. Yeah, but the problem is he won't give me any money to spend. That's bad, says the friend. But he bought me a fabulous mansion to live in. That's good, says the friend. Not really, because the mansion burned down last week. That's bad, says the friend. And to this, the woman replies, no, actually, that's good because he was in it when it burned down. Okay, so these are the three abilities that are required for success in 2021. I'm going to close. This is a really short talk by me, and now let's open it up for Q&A, and let me engage with you and help you to resolve any queries, any questions that you might have.
Thank you very much, Coach Arjun, for that three key points that you have given. And before I go with the question and answer Q&As, I would request the audience to put your questions on the chat box, or you can send it directly to me on the private chat. I will pick it up and then I will ask the same question. So here's the first question to you, Coach Arjun. What are the reliable resources can you suggest so that we can change our mindset? A reliable resource that you can suggest so that we can have a change in our mindset.
Yeah. Very good. That's a great question, and thank you for asking. So here's the thing. If you want to change, the first thing you want to decide is, what do you want to change to? What's your outcome? What is the change that you seek? Is it a change in your financial life, your professional life, your spiritual life, your physical life, your intellectual life, perhaps in your relational life? All right. So what is the change that you seek? What is the outcome that you desire? So that's the first perspective, or the first question. The second question is, who do you know? Who do you know who has already achieved that outcome to a large extent? Third question, if you don't know someone who has achieved that outcome to a large extent, who do you know of? What that means is, who do you know is somebody who you know personally. Who do you know of is somebody who is out there in the world, who has written a book, put out a few videos, is probably a famous person. Okay? Now, once you've done that, the next question is, this is a question that I ask myself. I say, what can I do? What can I do to model and emulate that person in that particular area? What can I do to model and emulate that person in that particular area? So my mentor is Basil Harris, and the area that I choose to model and emulate Basil is in the area of his life philosophy. I also model and emulate him in the area of financial freedom and concepts around money and earning money. So if I want to model and emulate him, because I have access to him, I ask him a lot of questions and I interact with him. If I did not have access to him, then most likely a lot of these people have put out books, audios, and videos, which when you read a book written by somebody, you are looking into their mind. When you hear or watch a video presented by somebody, you are entering their heart. When you are in the presence of someone who has achieved the thing that you want to achieve, you are in their field and you are connecting with their soul. And that is the beginning of change. And wonderful things to find out from these people are, hey, what books are you reading? Which kind of people are you hanging out with? How do you spend your time? What do you do for the first 1 hour in the day? And these are questions which you can express out of curiosity. So modeling and emulating is the key to what I call as bespoke success, customized success, because it's very important. I have a friend of mine who is just 80-90% of his life is spirituality. And therefore he chooses to model and emulate spiritual gurus. And I cannot advise him in the area of finances or relationships because that's not a priority for him. But he now seeks information and inspiration from people who have achieved in the area that he wants to achieve. And that's the transmutation, the change, the transformation that kind of points the direction for one to go towards. Okay, there you
Awesome.
go.
Thank you very much
Thank you
for
for
the answer. And the next question that is coming from the audience, who happens to be also my friend, Jaban, his question to you is, how should one deal with ambiguity?
Okay, that's a great question. It's a very powerful question. Now, my first suggestion to you, is to substitute the word should with the word could. How could I deal with ambiguity? In fact, even though you are on mute, Jiban, try and say the sentence, how should I deal with ambiguity? Pause, Feel the energy. Say it again. How should I deal with ambiguity? Feel the energy. Third time. How should I deal with ambiguity? Pause. Feel the energy. Calibrate yourself to the energy of that question with the word should. Now say, how could I deal with ambiguity? How could I deal with ambiguity? And say it 3 times and feel the difference in the energy. I'm very particular with language and language patterns. And when you substitute the word should with the word could or might, how might I deal with ambiguity? How might I deal with ambiguity? Now let's change it a little bit further. How might I learn to how might I learn to engage with ambiguity? How might I learn to engage with ambiguity? All right. So let's now ask the question from the context of a higher frequency with language and words. Sound is energy. Light is energy. Sound is energy. And words have the energy of sound attached to it. Therefore, the word could, the word learn are high frequency words. Now, let me talk to you about how you could or how you might do it. And this takes us to the philosophy of the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching is a work of wisdom written by a wise Chinese gentleman 2,500 years ago. And the author of the Tao Te Ching is Lao Tzu, Laotsu. The original name of Lao Tzu was Erli, Erli. I have pretty much based my entire business philosophy on the philosophy of the Tao Te Ching. Now, in the Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu, in a number of verses, the Tao Te Ching has 81 verses. And in a number of verses, Lao Tzu says, he says, become comfortable with not knowing what will happen next. He encourages you, he urges you to become comfortable with not knowing what will happen next. Now, the reason we are uncomfortable with not knowing what will happen next is because we have learned to be uncomfortable with not knowing. We have subscribed to a meme, a belief system, a pattern of thinking that if you do not know what's going to happen next or how things are going to unfold, that means pain. All right. So we're coming to the root of belief systems, and belief systems are all about, okay, this means pain and this means pleasure. Not knowing what will happen next is ambiguity. Ambiguity is equal to pain. So this is a meme, a belief system that we've subscribed to. Allow yourself to entertain an opposite point of view. And the opposite point of view is not knowing what will happen next can actually be pleasurable. A friend of mine said, you do your best, let God do the rest. The entire philosophy of flow, and now Olympic athletes, millionaires and billionaires, super achievers in various fields are experimenting with the concept of flow. Books have been written about this whole idea of flow or flow state. And the flow state is less about doing and more about allowing. Is less about doing and more about being. And when you are in a state of being and in a state of curiosity about what's going to happen next, beautiful things unfold. Basil taught me many years ago, he said, Arjun, control the controllables. A, B, C, areas beyond control, I don't control it. AUCs, areas under control, I control it. And when I focus on ABCs, areas beyond control, I have frustration, irritation, sadness, depression, anger, and so forth. When I focus on AUCs, areas under control, I have joy, a feeling of certainty, a feeling of variety, gratitude, excitement, and just a feeling of peace and joy. So it's a paradigm shift, but it's not as hard as most people make it out to be. The fact is, today we live in a milieu which is more uncertain, more ambiguous than ever before. Companies in every industry today find it difficult, if not impossible, to make a projection beyond 1 or 2 years. And companies that are in the field of technology find it hard to project even beyond 6 months. Even the banking industry, which is not a technology industry, is becoming so technology infused that people are not able to predict what's going to play out in the next 6 to 12 months. So the natural world has become ambiguous. And today, when we permit ourselves to operate in that ambiguity and be in that flow state, allow the wave to come, When the wave comes, surf the wave. You find that your levels of joy improve, increase, enhance, ameliorate, and you take it on from there. Now, I want to give you a side note as well, Jiban. While we are operating in the flow state and allowing rather than doing, this is not an excuse to sit on your rear end and not do much at all. All right. In this environment, more now than ever before, there is a need to upskill and retool, which I know you, Jiban, are doing continuously in various areas. I know you've done phenomenal things in the area of your health, and you are constantly learning and improving. And yep, so that's how it is. May I share a tool with you on this? I know, short question, long answer. And this is a tool from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And here is the tool. It's a question. The question is, what knowledge and skills will I have? What knowledge and skills will I have 2 years from now? That's the question. What knowledge and skills will I have 2 years from now? Write it down, 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 write down a separate column for knowledge, a separate column for skills. What knowledge and skills will I have 2 years from now? On a sheet of paper, try and fill that sheet of paper. Now look at that sheet of paper and say, which of these knowledge and skill areas can I acquire right now? Which of these knowledge and skill areas can I acquire right now? This is called the fast track method. This is called the time machine approach, where you actually push yourself 2 years into the future. And I've done this with entrepreneurs. I did this for a skill that I acquired recently that I wanted to acquire. And I put the name of that skill down, and I said, I can do this right now. And 3 months later, I had that skill, and that skill has become a source of income for me just in the last 6 months or so. So thank you for asking. I trust that has been useful to you.
Wow, that was so precise, and the tool that you mentioned, it actually works because I have tried, and it does help a lot. Uh, this is a question from one of the job seekers. He's mentioned me not to take his name, but it also relates to me. So I would put this across to you. How change in a mindset and ambiguity relates to life of a job seeker. Now, as a job seeker, what change one should pursue while there is mounted pressure of finding a job, income, visa, family, and fulfilling necessities?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so let me address this from a very practical perspective. If you have bills to pay and children who you need to take care of, then that's your number one priority. There's something that you need to do in order to sort that area of your life out. I was sitting with someone recently who said, yeah, but I don't have a job. I said, I know you don't have a job, but could we say that you have decided to live in this country? That's a decision you've made. Isn't that right? Yes. Okay, good. Now that you've decided to live in this country, could we also agree that you need money because you're here? Isn't that right? Good. Yeah. So where can you get that money from? So, yep, you could borrow money or you could use money from your savings, right? You could rob a bank, but then that's a little dangerous these days, so don't do it. Now, if your stress levels are high and you are in a place of pain and you are operating more out of desperation than inspiration, then perhaps you need to tap into some of the money that you've saved and or borrow money from well-meaning friends and relatives, at least to take care of your short-term expenses, because you need to put food on the table tomorrow and you need to pay your Diva and Etisalat bill next week. Isn't that right? So I'm being very short-term and very pragmatic here as the first step. This needs to be done first before you move forward, because you're not going to be able to get into a place of inspiration, excitement, motivation, enthusiasm until you are certain that you can take care of these things. I was talking to someone the other day, and it was interesting, a very wise gentleman. He said, why do we save money? Yeah, and then I think we were talking, and then we said, we save money for a rainy day. Isn't that right? We save money for a rainy day. Well, it's raining, right? So you might have to liquidate some of your assets And it's not a crime to liquidate your assets if you have no other goal. Either that, or you pack your bags and go back to your home country, which you have already told me that you don't want to do. Now I'm having this imaginary conversation with you. Okay, if you've decided to stay here, then heck, this is what you need to do in the short term. Once this is done, and I worked with someone recently, he sorted himself out for a 3-month period using one of these methods. He actually used a certain portion of his savings. The moment he knew that he did not have to worry about money for the next 3 months, now the weight was off his shoulders. He shifted from desperation to inspiration. When he read a book or watched a video, the information was actually going into his head and into his heart. And from that place, the change was actually taking place. All right. So that's my down to earth, pragmatic response to your question, my dear friend. And I pray the best and I wish the best for you.
Thank you very much. And my next question to you will be from an audience once again. How do you see growth mindset for employees that are still working remotely, that is, work from home?
Okay. Growth mindset for people working remotely from home. Yeah. Okay. So I'm trying to understand the question before I respond. So there's a great book called Mindset, okay, written by a lady by the name of Carol, Carol Dweck, Dweck. The whole book is about growth mindset. It's a whole flippin' book on growth mindset. The antithesis of a growth mindset is called a fixed mindset. All right. And a fixed mindset is somebody, an individual who chooses a pattern of thinking that is not flexible. A growth mindset is somebody who chooses a pattern of thinking that is versatile, that is flexible, that is neuroplastic. Now, whether you're working from home or whether you're working in a physical space, starting in 2020 and onwards, having a growth mindset, acquiring a growth mindset, learning how to imbibe and utilize a growth mindset is not an option anymore. There aren't many, if not any, industries remaining where you cannot afford to have a growth mindset. Even if there is an industry where perhaps your fixed mindset allows you to operate, you may not be able to sustain in that environment for more than 6 months or a year, because the rate of change is phenomenal. One of the books that I'm reading, and I'm looking at the book right now, is called The Future is Faster Than You Think. The Future is Faster Than You Think. And this book is a book by Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler. The whole book is a prognostication, a prophecy, a prediction of changes in technology, industry, and government over the next 10 years. The main author, Peter Diamandis, is a self-made billionaire. And the book is fascinating because he's talking about various technologies, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, changes in finance with cryptocurrencies, medical technology and the changes there, what's happening with the internet and online and the change, retail becoming e-tail, and robotics and so on and so forth. These are all these technologies are inflection points. And in the book, he says, we're looking at a convergence of all these technologies coming together: AI, robotics, biotechnology, cryptocurrencies, et cetera, all coming together, DNA technology, all coming together and converging. And the rate of change in the 2020s is going to be nothing less than 10 times, a minimum 10 times what it was in the 10 years prior. In an environment like that, you cannot help but have a growth mindset. You will not be able to sustain in a job situation or even in a business unless you're constantly evolving, learning, growing, improving, ameliorating your thought processes, your knowledge. And the three things a growth mindset are three things: KSA, not Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, KSA, knowledge, skills, attitude. Knowledge, skills, attitude. These are the three areas in which we grow. Grow your knowledge, grow your skills, grow your attitude. And when you're doing these three things, whether you're working remotely or whether you're working in a face-to-face situation, you will thrive rather than survive in the 2020s.
Oh, that was an amazing that the three things that you said: knowledge, skill, and attitude. Thank you very much, coach, and I hope the person who's seeing this will have got your answer. The question is coming from Mr. Khalid. People always ask about what things you should do. However, can you tell me three things to avoid on a daily basis?
Yeah,
Three things that you want me to avoid on a daily basis.
that's a very powerful question. Thank you for asking, Colin. You're really getting me to think. Three things to avoid. I like it. This is like a great coaching question as well. Instead of asking three things to do, when we ask three things to avoid, the mind becomes more curious in a question like this. So I commend you on asking this kind of a question. Okay, three things to avoid. Let's see. I'm gonna kind of make this up as I go along. All right, but this is coming to me. Thing number one. Thing number one. When you wake up in the morning, avoid checking your phone. Thing number one, when you wake up in the morning, avoid checking your phone, WhatsApp messages, or the news. That's thing number one. Okay. The first 30 minutes upon waking is a time when your brain is in the alpha state. When you sleep, deep sleep is called the delta state. That's when your subconscious mind is open. Then you go, as you're waking up, you get into the theta state, subconscious is closing and conscious is opening. And the alpha state is that bridge point between the subconscious and the conscious. Your brain is very receptive. Think about a doorway, that the doorway to your subconscious mind being open. The first 15 to 30 minutes upon waking are precious. When you read a positive book, watch a good inspiring video, or listen to an uplifting audio in the first 15 to 30 minutes upon waking, that gives you 5 times the effect as compared to watching that video, reading that book, or listening to that audio any other time during the day when your brain is in the beta state. So avoid checking the news or checking your WhatsApp messages when you wake up in the morning. Okay, I'm struggling now to think of two more, but let's see what comes. I'm invoking the flow state. Okay, here's another thing to avoid. Let's avoid reacting, and let's instead respond. Okay, so the avoidance of reaction and substituting reactions with responses. So whenever now our life is full of events, and there are two types of events that play out in our life: moment to moment to moment. Two types of events: preferred events and unpreferred events. These are the two types of events that play out in our life: moment to moment to moment. So when you wake up in the morning, let's say, for example, you open your refrigerator and you see an apple there and you like to eat apples, that's a preferred event. Great. The presence of the apple, you eat it. Situation number two, you wake up in the morning. This actually happened to me at 3 a.m. in the morning this morning. I hear the sound of a faucet, water dripping. I walk into my kitchen and a pipe is leaking, and there's a little bit of a flood forming in my kitchen. So I grab a bucket and I put the bucket there. Unpreferred event. Isn't that right? Preferred event, unpreferred event. Now, when you have a preferred event, it's easy. We feel, yay, fantastic. Things that I prefer are happening. Learning to not react in the presence of an unpreferred event is the characteristic of an evolved mind. That's what defines what an evolved mind is. When someone says, oh yeah, but I can't not react. Okay, let me negotiate with you. Instead of not reacting, how about you underreact? Okay, because that's more feasible. I still can't control my anger. Okay, fine. So I'll tell you what, instead of being angry for 5 minutes, let's try and be angry for 3.5 minutes. Achievable, isn't that right? Instead of 100% anger, let's have 80% anger, right? So that's the other thing to avoid. What's the third thing to avoid, Arjun? My goodness, Khaled has asked you a question. Now you will come across as really dumb if you don't add a third thing. So what's the third thing? What could the third thing be? All right, what's the third thing? Okay, I'm just being channeled to say, let's stop at two. Yeah, there you go. I don't want to be a show off and make up point number three when I don't know what point number three is.
Well, that was amazing, Khalid. I think you got 2 points. You will get third one very soon once Coach Arjun thinks and gets back. But amazing. And I see that there are a lot of questions coming in, but
Yeah,
due to
good.
time constraints, what I can do is I can take the next three questions
Great.
from the audience,
Yes.
right? And the question for you is also once again from the audience. Now, this person says, and this person has told me not to tell their name, tell that person's name. What to do when you know that your dream is there, but then you're stuck at your job since you need income? Now, for example, you love doing something that you love. Now, for example, I'm a photographer, a passion
Yeah.
for photography and videography. I would love to do that, but I'm stuck at a job and I don't
Yeah.
get time to do so. What do you do? How do you do?
Fabulous. Fabulous question. Very, very, very relevant, very germane. I get asked this question plenty, and this is a very valid question. Thank you for asking. Okay, so let me give you the first aspect of it. Now, it sounds to me that not only you enjoy photography, but you also perceive your job as an impediment, as a hurdle to pursuing photography. At some level, I sense that maybe your job feels a little painful because it is blocking you from doing the thing that you want to do, which is photography. Okay, so here's my first piece of advice to you. My first piece of advice to you is learn to love your job. Right now, your job pays the bills. For better or for worse, it supports your family. Become joyful in what you are doing. Enjoy it, express gratitude for the people in that organization, the products that they sell, and the salary that accrues to your account every single month. Feel it, love it, express gratitude for it, enjoy it, become joyful that you have a job, whereas that there are millions of people who don't. From that place, because now you take your state, your energy, your frequency to a higher state, you will find that the universe magically presents you with time, space, and people for you to now exhibit and practice photography, which is your passion. If you want to pursue your passion, then become passionate in what you are currently doing. Find passion in your current occupation, and you will find that that passion will spill over into the other things that you want to be passionate about. And this is a principle from the law of attraction. It is a universal law. There are scores, hundreds, if not millions of people who've practiced this very principle. Find joy in what you're doing, and the thing that gives you joy will come to you.
Thank you very much, Coach. I hope that answers your question, the person who's there in the audience. Uh, and I also believe that the law of attraction does work when you truly believe in yourself that uh, it works for you. Okay, so here is our next question, and the question here is how to understand fixed mindset and encourage growth mindset in high potential learners. How to understand fixed mindset and encourage growth mindset in high potential learners.
Okay, I'm assuming the person who's asking this question is a leader who wants to encourage a growth mindset in their team, right? That's what I'm assuming out here. And if I'm
Yeah.
assuming wrong, I'm requesting that person to type in the clarification, but I'm just going to go ahead and start answering. If you want to encourage other people around you to imbibe a growth mindset, what do you think is the first thing you need to do? Duh, lead by example. So if you're a parent, how do you teach your kids? By being an example yourself. If you're a leader, How do you lead your people from the front through example by being a model of excellence and growth? Now, when I've worked with organizations, I encourage leaders in organizations to work together with their teams, and we play these games. So, for example, we could have like a book review. Let's say this week or this month, for example, we pick a book. The title of the book is Goals by Brian Tracy. So, you are the boss, you have 4 people, 5 people reporting to you. You make sure everybody gets the book. And perhaps once a week, you guys sit together and just discuss a chapter. That's just one idea where you take it through a book. Here's another idea. This is from an ad agency that I worked with once. And once a month, the managing director of this ad agency, at the time, he had 16 people working for him. And every month, people would, I think it was every fortnight, somebody was given a task and they said, okay, you now have to do research on a topic. And 2 weeks from now, come and present that topic to us. And let this be a topic which we don't know about. So this person would go around and ask people, hey, do you know about this topic? Do you not know about this topic? Which topic would you prefer I do research on? And this person knows nothing about the topic, goes ahead and does research on the topic and comes and makes a presentation. Nothing to do with the advertising industry. So there was one week where this person went out and studied the nuances of the American political system. This guy actually did it, right? I'm talking about way back in the year 2015, 2016, and taught people how it works. What are the 3 branches of government? The Supreme Court, the Congress, the presidency. What are the 2 political parties? What's the difference between Republicans and Democrats? It wasn't a political discussion. It was a knowledge sharing session, and it had nothing to do with advertising or their business, but it expanded people's mind and got them into the framework of the growth mindset. There was another week where this particular person went out and did some research in the area of health, particularly with regard to the latest findings in the area of DNA, and what people are finding out with regard to DNA, and how our environment, our food habits, our thought patterns affect our DNA, and so forth. There was another week in which a fortnight where this person went out and did research in the field of depression. What causes people to get depressed. I mean, for 2 weeks, this guy went out and did some research and came and made a presentation. He was by no means an expert in it, but he tried to learn as much as he can on the subject, made a short presentation, fielded a few questions on the subject, and this became a culture in the organization, and that was an idea to expand the growth mindset. And these are various ways in which you can go out and cause people to just expand their mindset. Here's another method. This is an entrepreneur who I coach on a regular basis. Once every 2 weeks, if not once a month, he gets people to pull out a sheet of paper and write 10 things that they're grateful for. Just write 10 things that they're grateful for. This also expands your mind and causes a growth mindset. Runs a business, and once a month gets all his people to do that. And he says, out of these 10 things, whatever is not personal and you're comfortable sharing, read it out loud. And these kind of activities cause people around you to expand their mind, but the core of it is you lead from the front. There's an adage that says, what does it say? I cannot hear a word you say. I cannot hear a word you say, but what you do speaks so loud.
Well, thanks a lot for that answer. That question actually indeed came from one of the volunteers. I will not tell the name as the volunteer has requested me not to say, but the answer was phenomenal. So I'm going to go for one last question, and this is something that I preferably would love to ask this on this platform. In general terms, what would I have to give up surviving to thrive myself? What would I have to give up surviving to thrive myself?
Mm. Give up the older version of yourself.
Wow.
Every second, 10 to 15 million cells in your body die. Every second. 10 to 15, 10 to 15, 10 to 15. Every second, 10 to 15 million cells in your body die, and 10 to 15 million cells, new cells are born, created. Boom. Okay. You, me, we get a brand new, skin. Every 6 weeks, we get a brand new skin. Every 3 months, we get a brand new skeleton. In 1 year, every atom in your body is replaced. The nature of your physical body is death of the old and birth of the new. That is just how it is. This is the nature of the physical body. This is how we're designed. Human beings are not nouns, we are verbs. We are constantly changing. Our body is constantly becoming and changing. Your heart beats 100,000 times a day. It's constant evolution taking place. Now, if this is the state of our physiology, then why must it not be the state of our psychology? Let old versions of yourself die and new versions of yourself be born. Allow yourself to give up outdated paradigms, old beliefs, ways of thinking that don't serve you anymore. Permit yourself to think thoughts that you've never thought before. Permit yourself to have experiences you've never had before. Permit yourself to have conversations with people that you have never allowed yourself to have before. And that is quintessentially the death of the old and the birth of the new. Give it up. Give up that old version and embrace the new version of yourself.
Oh, that was so powerful. Thank you very much, Coach, for all your insights that you have given. Uh, Before I go for the vote of thanks, and I may call upon to volunteer this thing, but I would like to ask the audience, and I would like to take that honor today. Uh, what is that one thing, a key takeaway that you learned today in this powerful session? You can put down on your comments, and Coach Arjun would love to have that smile on his face while he reads your comments. And here we go. We are getting on the answers. Be open-minded to change. What I learned from you, Coach Arjun, I'm honored to always be with you, learn from you, and I always feel proud when I come and meet you. The change that you have that probably most of them have seen in me is because of the community that I am in, and one of the community person that I always adore is Coach Arjun Iyer. If you want to learn more if you want to be with positive souls, I would request you to follow Coach Arjun as well. I have shared the social medias of LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook session. Now I call upon a person who says Coach Arjun is my favorite. I would do anything to meet him, and I would love to do this word of thanks. So I call upon the one and only, the Chief Business Officer of Brainciti, the pillar of Dubai Jobs Hunt, and also one of my optimistic mentors, one and only Santosh D'Souza, Sandy.
Hello. Yeah.
Okay, I guess there is. Okay, for the ones who are on the YouTube, I thank you very much for joining the sessions. If you have any questions, please put your questions on the comment box. We will pick it up. I'll get personally, I'll get in touch with personally with Coach Arjun, and I will respond back to you personally. Thank you very much, and I would request now our founder, Awal Pinto. Okay, we have Sandy back online, so
Santosh
let
is
me
back.
first hand over
Yes.
to Santosh,
Yeah.
and then
Just
I will.
unmute him. Yeah.
Yes, Santosh, are you able to come on the screen?
Yeah. Of
There
course.
we go. There we
Thank
go.
you. Over to you, Santosh.
Right.
I'm really sorry. Okay, I'm trying to start my video. Probably, can you ask me to open my video? Yeah. Thanks. First of all, thank you so much, Venzila. I'm really sorry, coach, for make you wait. You're the last person whom I'll probably make you wait, but it happened somehow technically. I usually don't take notes, and everybody who knows me, they know. But this is what I've taken from your session today. I hardly take notes. And first of all, I thank you for coming into my life. I mean, whatever I am today, most of it goes to you, and credit to Avil Pinto. Thanks for coming into the sessions. You never say no to DJ sessions or any